As we get closer to Election Day, we see where former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris are focusing their attention. Plus, health officials are continuing to find signs of listeria in food products. We'll hear about the latest outbreak.
And we have plenty of sunshine again today with temperatures well above normal, but how long will this trend last? Details in a few minutes.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
With just 2 weeks to go until Election Day, former President Donald Trump campaigned for the Latino vote in Florida this morning before holding a rally in North Carolina tonight. Vice President Kamala Harris is back in Washington, focused on some taped media interviews. CBS's Natalie Brand has the latest campaign news from the White House.
But there's something about that border that's just really evil.
Former President Donald Trump focused on his signature issue, immigration policy, at a roundtable with Latino voters in South Florida.
The only thing I would disagree with you on is that the economy is very important. I actually think that the biggest thing is the border.
It's Trump's second event with Latino voters in a week, one of the fastest growing groups of the electorate. He criticized Vice President Kamala Harris for not holding campaign events Tuesday, 2 weeks from Election Day.
It's going to be close. I mean, she's sleeping right now. She couldn't go on the trail. You know, you think when you have 14 days left, you wouldn't be sleeping. She's not doing anything today.
Vice President Harris is back here in Washington taping 2 interviews before returning to battleground Pennsylvania Wednesday for a town hall.
If you haven't voted yet, I won't be offended if you just walk out right now. Go vote.
Former President Barack Obama is out mobilizing support for her alongside her running mate, Governor Tim Walz, in Madison, Wisconsin.
This thing's close. We're still the underdogs in this, and we know we're going to leave it all on the field. Wisconsin, you got same-day voter registration, and it's open today.
It's the first day of early voting in the battleground state, where polling shows the race a virtual tie.
Oh, we're really excited. We love voting.
Many states are reporting record early voting numbers, with more than 19 million ballots already cast nationwide. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
The Harris campaign announced that the vice president will also campaign in Texas this week. Now, Harris is unlikely to win in Texas, but the Senate race there is very tight, and the Democratic candidate, Colin Allred, will join Harris at the rally. Trump will also be in Texas this week. He's going to Austin to tape a podcast with Joe Rogan. The Georgia election workers who won a defamation suit against Rudy Giuliani will get control of his Manhattan penthouse apartment and a slew of luxury items. A federal judge ordered Giuliani to turn over all of his valuable possessions to Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss. In addition to the Manhattan penthouse, Freeman and Moss will get Giuliani's furniture, a collection of watches, sports memorabilia, including a signed Joe DiMaggio jersey, and a 1980 Mercedes. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Israel for his 11th visit. The Biden administration sees a new opportunity for peace after Israel killed Yahya Sinwar last week, the Hamas leader blamed for engineering the October 7th terror attacks. Civilians in northern Gaza were forced to flee amid a major military offensive Israel says is aimed at stopping Hamas from regrouping there. Israeli strikes in Beirut's southern suburbs late Monday killed at least 13 people. The Ukrainian population has declined by millions since Russian troops invaded back in February 2022. The population has declined by approximately 8 million people. Reports say the Russian invasion led to people leaving the country and decreasing birth rates. Approximately 35 million people still live in Ukraine. Neither Ukraine nor Russia have released a death total resulting from the invasion since it began. The former CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch has been arrested on charges related to sex trafficking. Mike Jeffries and 2 other associates were arrested on Tuesday. The federal indictment says they ran a sex trafficking scheme between 2008 and 2015. They are accused of recruiting men who wanted to become models, then giving them drugs, alcohol, and Viagra at sex-themed parties. Susan Smith is up for parole next month, nearly 30 years after she was found guilty of murder for rolling her car into a South Carolina lake and drowning her 2 sons who were inside. Smith made news around the world back in 1994 when she said she had been carjacked in South Carolina. Smith made several appeals to the media, asking her 3-year-old son Michael and 14-month-old son Alex to be returned safely. On November 3rd, 1994, she confessed to the killings.
Well, as advertised, we had plenty of sunshine and temperatures in the upper 70s once again. This is the scene right now in Pikeville, courtesy of the Pikeville Medical Center cam. Lots of sunshine out there and temperatures right now in the mid to upper 70s. A couple places in the 60s. Grundy check-in was 66 degrees. Wise was at 69 earlier, now at 70. Otherwise, mid-70s from Logan to Hazard, upper 70s from Manchester to Somerset, down to Monticello. All is quiet on live pinpoint Doppler radar, and this will get a break as we go throughout the next several hours, and for the most part tomorrow as well. You can see as we go into about the midnight 1 o'clock time frame, we'll see temperatures in the mid-50s. When you wake up in the morning, temperatures in the 40s and 50s will greet you, making again for a beautiful Wednesday across the area. But there's a change somewhere in the forecast. Details on the first alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
Eric, thank you. It is a painful virus you've probably heard of, shingles. It appears as a painful rash and can sometimes lead to serious complications. 1 in 3 Americans will get shingles in their lifetime, and in about 8% of cases, the illness spreads to the eye. Now a new study is showing promising treatment results. CBS's Dr. John LaPook takes us inside the science behind the research.
Dr. Elizabeth Cohn spent more than 30 years doing eye surgery.
It was very gratifying to take someone who can't see and help them to see.
But in 2008, shingles derailed her career. The illness comes when the chickenpox virus reactivates, causing a rash and nerve pain. Shingles of the eye can cause scarring and vision loss. That's what happened to Dr. Cohn, forcing her to stop operating. So this is an infection with shingles.
Yes.
And it's supposed to be clear.
Right.
Dr. Cohn, a professor at NYU Langone Health, where I work and her husband is dean, had an idea. Treat shingles of the eye with an antiviral drug for a year rather than the usual 7 to 10 days. 3 days ago, she presented the results.
When you saw these results, what was your reaction?
Phew.
Patients receiving placebo had a 44% risk of developing new or worsening eye disease over the next 18 months. With low-dose daily valcyclovir, or Valtrex, that risk was 22% lower at 12 months and became 26% lower at 18 months.
Are you concerned that this did not reach statistical significance for the primary endpoint at 12 months, but it did at 18 months?
I'm really not concerned about that. It can take a long time to kind of get those nerves back to a healthy point.
Dr. Christopher Starr is an eye surgeon who did not take part in the study.
This will change the way I practice from here on out.
I'm hoping that we help a lot of people. That is my ultimate hope.
The study is awaiting peer review and publication. There's a vaccine for shingles that's more than 90% effective, but only about a quarter of eligible adults get it. Dr. John LaPook, CBS News, New York.
The shingles vaccine is recommended for healthy adults above age 50 and adults 19 years old and older with weakened immune systems, according to the CDC. There is another major food recall tied to potential listeria contamination. More than 600 frozen waffle products from more than a dozen brands are being voluntarily recalled. Officials with Treehouse Foods says the bacteria was detected through routine testing at one of its manufacturing facilities. The products are sold at big retailers like Walmart, Target, and Publix. This comes amid several other listeria-related recalls.
Well, we have more and more complicated food supply chains. So at every step of food processing, there's the opportunity for contamination. So that's number one.
Okay.
Consumers want ready-to-eat food, so of course they're more processed as a result. And thirdly, we have better tests. So it used to be we might not have been aware or known what made you sick. Now we can actually test, detect, and tell you what made you sick.
So far, there have been no confirmed reports of illnesses or deaths due to contaminated waffles. Symptoms include fever, muscle aches, and fatigue. President Biden traveled to New Hampshire, touting his administration's efforts to lower prescription drug costs. The president highlighted a new report that found nearly 1.5 billion Medicare enrollees saved nearly $1 billion on prescription drugs in the first half of 2024. The Biden administration announced Medicare has negotiated new lower prices for some expensive prescription drugs through the Inflation Reduction Act.
I'm a capitalist. And without competition, it's not capitalism, it's exploitation. When Big Pharma doesn't play by the rules, competitors can't offer lower priced drugs and devices to carry those drugs. So prices stay artificially high. And look, but we're taking action.
2 weeks before Election Day, President Biden is making the case that Republicans are threatening to undo these changes. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, why you should be cautious when applying for a new line of credit this coming holiday season.
And in the world weather, lots of sunshine again for tomorrow, but we will cool off. Details in a few minutes. Stay with us.